Good evening, traders. I'm going to provide maybe a quick summary for tomorrow. I really don't want to overwhelm any of you with my analysis and my opinions on trading. But I appreciate the viewership. It means a lot to me. I really enjoy what I do, and I really like to extend it and share this with traders, hoping that, this benefits you in terms of your trading and maybe how you see or should like this or see the markets. Um, that being said, I'm going to take a quick look, but I think I think it's great when you have a game plan and it plays out to exactly how you see it. And trust me, I'm not naive to realize that it's always going to play out this way because it just doesn't. And to me, it's great, and I know that when it comes into play like this, it's just a great feeling, and it's good that you can take advantage of it. At the end of the day, it's important that once again one of those phrases that so many people don't care to hear. End of the day, it is what it is, but sometimes I get caught up in it. Um, you know, what I think is really important for all traders, and this is something I take to heart, is you don't want to have an opinion too often. You have to respect the market. It's always going to dictate. So, put your opinions, leave it at the door, check it, and move on. Because at the end of the day, the market, once again, the market's going to dictate always. And you just want to trade within it. And by taking this approach, I really believe that you put yourself in a great position because you're really getting a better understanding of price and how the bigs are playing it. And you know, I'm going to do a little history on this, maybe more about myself, but also how this, going back. I mean, I started on the exchange in the 80s. You got the S&P, the 500 was literally it was a five handle range. That's what it was back in the day, and it traded increments of five, and it was really tight, and there was a ton of volume on each side. You can't even imagine how much volume and liquidity there was within that 5 point range. But as time's gone on, it has opened the doors to so many traders. It was no longer an exclusive club, and in doing so, it created a lot of volatility, and it expanded the ranges. And that is where this extreme trading comes really handy to me, and I hope to you as well, because and I respect all traders, I truly do. I just think sometimes the public is a little late in terms of their reaction, and they all seem to follow the same thing, and not many really pay close attention to it. And that's why a lot of retail traders kind of get run over. And it's not that what they're doing is necessarily wrong, it's all about timing. And, sometimes when the market gets pushed up, like these gap hires and the exuberance is to the upside, and everybody's jumping on it, that's when the bigs and the institutions take advantage of it and they slap it. And it's not that the market isn't righteous at those levels. You know, they're going to take advantage of the value and make money off of it, and in doing so, they're going to wipe out the retail in the process, and they're going to push it to where they're going to get on board. And that's what the value areas are all about, and that's how you want to pay attention to it, because you want to trade with the big money, not against them, because you're just not going to make a living doing so. So, this is why I push it, and this is why I try to teach it. And like I said, I think this is a really great way to take your trading to another level if you aren't already. I think what you gain from this is the when you execute from these areas, and obviously you don't just wade into them because they're there. You always want to have confirmation, and you want to see where the market's coming from. Like, for example, when they rammed them up all the way up to the highs and they shot it all the way down to here. I mean, I talked about it. I'm not the only one who knows this. Everybody's aware at a level, but you got to prove it to you down there. And more often than not, they do. And that's why you take advantage of a little extra homework and trade with the big money. It takes a little bit of the sting out of your trading. It creates higher probabilities with your executions, and in doing so, you're also going to minimize. You're going to reduce the risk of your trades as well. So, I was on a floor back in the '80s. Like I said, the game has changed so much, and I really enjoy this because I like the fact that it's opened the doors to so many traders, but in doing so, it's gotten so out of whack in terms of pricing, and that's why you get these huge reversals from these locations, and that's why I love trading it. So, I once again, I hope you really enjoy this approach towards trading, and feel free to reach out. I'd be more than glad to provide some more insight into this. I'm in the process of creating the website. I have strategies that could play out at all market conditions. I mean, at the end, this has been just a bull trend from the get go. This has been going on for a long time, and you can just see how much they chew up, and that's why so many people have been fortunate enough to make money because it's really been a one-way trade. I mean, it has its pullbacks, but every time the market gets overdone to the downside and or reaches an extreme location, whether it's the 50, the 100, or the 200, you just see the reaction that it gets because the value areas, everybody wants to be on board. The market is strong, the market continues to impress, but where do you want to be in the market? I mean, do you just want to buy it because everybody's buying it and it's running? No, you want to get it at the value location. And you know what? If you can't get what you want, then you don't have to chase it. That's another key thing that I like to extend to all traders. If you don't get the trade you want, don't chase it. Let it go. I trust me. You're going to get an opportunity at another location at another time. Be patient. That's the key. Be patient. So let's take a look at where we're at because I think it's going to play out much the same way as it did today, and you could just see that they're pushing. They held the 40. We talked about it Sunday night. You're going to have to take the same approach. Your MAs are sitting pretty much a little closer now. It's 55, and it's probably the same area. They're pretty much crossing. In fact, they're probably going to cross to the upside. You can see down here the MACD if this thing starts to turn up. And in fact, you can see, look at all the volume that came in on that sell off. And that was a sign that the institutions were jumping on board and buying them at the 50. Um, and much the same with the Dow. We talked about this as well. And now you're sitting above them. They're holding it. It's 35, 34 to 80. Where are we at right now? They're at 360. The Dow seems to be setting its sights to go higher. The Nasdaq is dragging a little, and you really want to kind of keep an eye on the Nasdaq to some extent because you know I know it's a little thinner, but if the Nasdaq really rolls over, sometimes it can have an effect and a profound effect on the Dow and the S&Ps. And this is oil, but I don't trade the oil as often unless I get an extreme location. That's the only times I trade the oil. If I get it's just too thin, too choppy, and your stops just do not get filled. They can go right through them, and if you go market on them, you're just going to get a hellacious fill. So I don't play the oil as much. I know a lot of people like it. It moves. It definitely moves. But if you don't catch it, you're going to get run over there as well. So let's keep it simple. This is about the ES Dow and Nasdaq. And once again, it's your MAs. Keep an eye on them tomorrow. Um, Once again, it's the same ballpark, 55, 65. Let me see, where do we settle? We were ready. It looks like we're going to be gapping higher. We settled at 58. So, I mean, depending on what they do overnight, and I don't like to get too much into laying predictions at this point because anything can happen overnight. I keep it simple. I don't want to give you advice and watch something just get crazy overnight. There's all kinds of issues that could affect your trading. There's a lot of uncertainty in the Middle East, and you know, you just don't know what effect it's going to have on the markets if anything gets crazy overnight. So, it's best to kind of be patient, wait for the morning, and take into account what is done, and play it from that. So we'll see how this plays out. You can see it. I think 4170 is a big deal. You can see it right here. You know, Once again, if they really push this, and let's take a look because they're going to probably, they didn't even get to the pivot. There's 72. That's your first resistance level. 85. And, I'm going to show you these because I think these areas probably around R2. And if I recall, when we did take off, 4190 was a big support when we did push over 4200 in the ES. They kept holding 190. So, I mean, I really think you're going to get some pullback off of those resistance levels if they push hard overnight. And if they get up to R2 by the opening bell, you're going to want to look for the possible reversal. It's a gap higher, but you want confirmation. Just because it gaps higher doesn't mean it's going to roll over and just go back to settlement, which is right now, which would be almost to the pivot, which is 55, and that's your MA. So, that's a key location. That's where I would like to be long tomorrow if it comes down to it and everything falls into place. But let's just see how it plays out tomorrow in the morning, and let them do what they got to do overnight. Some people like to trade the overnight session. It's a little thin. I don't care for it. I think there's plenty of trade between 8:30 and 3:30, and you know what, you take it from there. So, like I said, a little history of myself. I was on the floor for years, and the game has changed so much, and this I really enjoy the style of trading, and I think it provides endless opportunities. And I think what's great is that when you can't get it, when the trend's so strong and it's rallying, you know, people don't realize there's opportunities for counter trend positions against the trend, and you can make money on it. It's not like you can't take advantage of it and you're doing something wrong. It's just you're taking advantage of opportunities, and that's what the bigs are doing too. That's what the institutions are doing as well. And they're going to push it to where they want to get on board. Plus of course it's one of those days where they just jam it and you know and ram them all the way back up. And this market is obviously looking to make higher highs. You got a contract high of I believe 4230. So I like I said, disregard these Fibonacci's. They're a little off. I mean, can't begin to tell you how often you have to change those because this market just keeps rallying. So I'll have to update these eventually, but we're just gonna have to see. So I think the market's trying to push higher, but if you get the gap higher, look for the opportunities to go down. And my style of trading is a little contrarian. You know, I I just like to fade. I just think that sometimes people get are doing the same thing and they're kind of like lemmings and they're all following the wrong path. And a lot of retail traders do get chopped up in the process. So I think it's a thinking man's game. You got to be patient and you want to wait for your opportunities. We know it's a bull trend and you want to be on board, but you want to you want to get the value areas, and that's really what you want to take to heart when it comes to trading. So let's see what happens, and let's play this out tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at in the opening bell. I don't like I said, I don't want to overwhelm you with my analysis. It's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to trade this style. I just think it works well, and I see people are actually looking at my work, and I appreciate that. I really do. And if you want to know anything more, feel free to reach out. mlbino at AOL.com. And this is MR Strategies for Monday night, the 17th of May. And you know what, guys? Let's make some money tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys in the morning. Have a great night.